Ryan Reynolds here from Mint Mobile with a message for everyone paying big wireless way too much. Please, for the love of everything good in this world, stop. With Mint, you can get premium wireless for just $15 a month. Of course, if you enjoy overpaying, no judgments, but that's weird. Okay, one judgment. Anyway, give it a try at mintmobile.com/switch.
Upfront payment of $45 for 3-month plan, equivalent to $15 per month required. Intro rate first 3 months only, then full price plan options available. Taxes and fees extra. See full terms at mintmobile.com.
Welcome to episode 92 of the Wilderness Podcast. Yeah, that's right, baby. We're halfway there to 99.
Oh, yeah.
I'm Dilz. With me, as always, is Deagin.
Hey, how's it going?
So this week, we are going to be talking about some more changes for Theater of Blood. We've gotten some updates on Rune Fest. That's kind of just around the corner. Again, some more game integrity changes make their appearance into the game. And I guess the biggest news of it all, an update on Oldschool Runescape Mobile.
Oh, yeah.
It's finally happening. Not just that, we also have some more information on some past contest winners and issues with them receiving their prizes. So, before we get into that, let's get into what you did this week.
So, it's going to sound weird, but I didn't play as much RS as normal.
Oh, shit. Why, what's going on?
Just, a little bit too much RS past couple months. I compensated by starting to do farming runs again, so...
Right, you were talking about your farming runs in the past. You're doing magic trees?
No, I'm just doing herb runs. Not even trees. I'll go on a couple times a day and do herb runs and then just jump right off. And then I'm flipping in between, but I did do some stuff still. Just not as much. So I got my 85 crafting goal.
Nice.
And I guess 91 fishing. I guess I was last episode I had just finished 99 thieving and I was working on my last level for fishing.
Mm-hmm.
So I got that 91. The main, I got 91 because you can use an angler or, an admiral pie and you can boost to 96 for the Mortania Elite.
What do you have to do?
You have to hand fish a shark down in Bergderot. Yeah.
Gotcha. Okay. That's what a weird diary requirement.
Yeah. Yeah. Good though. I like it. Dude, one of the diaries is to open up a Barrows chest wearing a full set
Of barrows?
Yeah. So
Okay.
dude, I must look like the big... I'll just say this, but... So, when I was doing that task, I guess, because obviously, after getting 91 fishing and 85 crafting, I was good to go. Well, I got my 85 fire making too, but...
Easy peasy.
Oh, yeah. I must look like such a tryhard getting my Barrows, diary thingy done, because I go in, full Ancestral and, Arma and shit. I'm doing these crazy, you know what I mean? Full switches of max range and mage and shit. Just ripping through the rooms.
People are probably just there's better ways to make money.
Yeah. Why the fuck are you doing Barrows and full Ancestrals? That's so stupid. Anyways, so yeah, I think that's it for the skilling. I did a tiny bit of agility, not much. Mainly I just did a bunch of flipping and sold off some shit. Yeah, so I don't know if I mentioned it. I mean, okay, so I don't know how I started about talking about this, but so past, I guess obviously a couple episodes I'll talk about what I did for merching and shit.
Yeah, that's right. You've been on a bit of a merching blitz.
Yeah, so I flipped a bunch of red and black dragon body hides past couple weeks. Just while I was slowly buying my crafting and my prayer. Mm-hmm. Buying 85 crafting and 99 prayer. I just, whatever. Was flipping those bodies, and then around when Theater of Blood came out, I mentioned, I don't know if I think I did, where a bunch of the Chambers of Xeric, supplies just dropped heavily.
Yeah, because everyone was trying to get rid of their little stockpile that they're kind of collecting. Because I assume most people do what I do. You kind of do a bunch of Slayer tasks, you do a bunch of bossing or bunch of raiding, and you have like one tab you just collect all the resources in. Because it's kind of satisfying to get like a 10 mil stockpile going, sell it all off, opposed to like selling it after every run and only making a couple 100K.
Yeah. So one of the things I bought, I don't know if I talked about it, was dynamite. Bought it like around 300 gold during the crash. I bought like 9,000-ish total for like 300 gold each. And I bought that, I bought this around Theater of Blood. Because I'd noticed, when I was trying to sell my tab myself, nothing was selling. And I think I mentioned I might have mentioned I did like mahogany planks and stuff. Anyways, I noticed the price of dynamite were kind of where I wanted them to be, so I went and sold them off and made like 3 mil off of that, which was nice. But I probably had mentioned that I was holding those a while ago, so that's not relevant. I did some stuff that was actually like more relevant, I guess. And I didn't even think about it. Someone in the CC made an offhand comment. I was like, dude, I'm stealing that idea. And thank God, because he told me, he's like, dude, I'm just going to go buy a bunch of ether. I bought like a shit ton of ether for like 80 GP each. So he bought like 30 or 40K for 80 GP each. And it's a good idea because I looked at the polls and like all the weapons are passing. Like the amulet wasn't passing at the time.
Yeah, neither is the ring.
Yeah. But like, yeah, I don't know what the status of the items right now, but the weapons seem to be like, okay, yeah, they're going to get in the game. So I went and bought like 100,000 for 100 to 102 each. And then sold them off for 150 to 160 each.
Okay, so how much profit is that?
Decent amount, like what, 5 mil? Or something like that? I don't really remember. I'm pretty tired right now. Yeah, it was nice. It's hard to keep track because I have like a lot of things that I'm flipping around at the same time. And math is really hard for me. Clearly.
Good for calculators.
Like around 5 mil. I did some other flips too. Shit. Oh, I also did bracelets of Ethereum. I bought them for like 1K under elk and sold them for 2K over. I bought 500 of those. So I made like a little, like around 500K to a mil off of that as well. I think that was it for that. I bought some random resources that like the Rev Caves guys drop, and then sold them for like a little bit, but nothing like too special.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I think that's kind of it for my flips and whatnot. And I just kind of like did a little flipping, did my skilling, got my Mortania Elites done, which kind of got me to start my me doing herb runs again, because the main Mortania Elite's really nice because you unlock the Harmony Island herb patch.
Right, another herb patch you can use.
Yeah.
So I think there's a total of 7 once you've done My Big Arms Adventure. Is that the right quest?
Yeah. My Big Arms Adventure, and then with the Mortania Elites, you get the other one too, yeah.
And then also you have the one on Zaya in the Hasidius house. Once you get 50% favor? 50 or 75?
50%, yeah.
50%, yeah. You get another one there, which it's pretty close to a teleport if you have Xeric's Talisman.
You have it, but at 50% it gets auto-protected. Like, you don't have to pay to protect your allotment or your herb or anything like that. Yeah.
Damn. So yeah, you get a total of 7 herbs, which is crazy.
So I was doing that. Pretty nice. I guess I should mention, so before I started doing my herb farm runs, I like to use lunar spells while I'm doing that. Fertile soil and whatnot.
See, I always use the Arceus spellbook because you get this revive patch spell, like your farming patch. You get like a 75% chance of reviving them, but I have a bunch of fertilizer stockpiled with the little leprechaun, so I can just use those. But this way, I don't know, if one of my because I don't have any of my patches being protected, I just find it, to me, I find it kind of pointless. It's kind of a pain in the ass, and they barely ever die, and if they do, I just try to revive them.
Yeah, there's some math behind when it's worth it to protect your stuff, but I think it only applies to trees. It's pretty much never worth it to protect. Unless, I guess, if you're an Iron Man, maybe it's a bit different if you already have the supplies, but.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Especially with, Ultra Compost, the new one that came out with Volcanic Mines, you don't need to protect them at all.
Yeah, and I'm pretty sure that compost allows you to get one additional herb when you're farming that patch.
On the topic of that, I went and did some Volcanic Mine to get that spell. So my fertile, because as of right now, if you don't have the upgrade, I guess, unlocked, you just do super compost as a fertile soil. And if you get the Volcanic Mine upgrade, I guess, you get the ultra compost, but you also need to bring 2 volcanic ash with you.
Interesting.
Yeah, so it's really nice.
How is Volcanic Mine?
Awful.
Really?
I can confidently say that they did not think this minigame through. Or... Dude, it's fucked. Okay, so I've obviously, hey, I'm gonna go do something I've never done before. Gonna go look up a guide, and then I found Wooks' guide, and it, explains these are all the methods. And there's, 4 different methods. Easy, medium, and hard method of, how you do it. The main thing is that you're micromanaging the, pressure levels of 3 vents. Okay. And you put a rock on or mine the rock off if you want the pressure to go up or down. And then in between that, you're mining a rock that, rolls down. And I never finished it because I'm in solo and I could not find any groups, not even in, the main world. So I'm just,
really?
Yeah. So I'm just soloing it. I'm not going to go find a CC that's some random dude and then hey, anybody want to do a volcanic mine? It's actually not worth the effort. Because you get nothing out of it.
That's kind of a shame. I've heard people say it's fair experience while being super AFK.
See, the issue is that the more you AFK, the more likely your team doesn't want you to do it with them anymore. Because while you're AFK and getting experience, they're running around doing all the shit for you.
So if you're doing it solo, you can't AFK it.
No, you can definitely AFK for 30 seconds at a time and stuff, but yeah, so anyways, I wasn't really there for experience. You can get upwards of 80k an hour. I think 99 in solos, but I was getting near 40k because the method. So listen how weird this is. So if you're doing it solo and you want to get the most experience per hour, you have to unlock a large water vessel. And so your main way of transportation, the main way of moving around the area is you have to use this water vessel on lava and create little stepping stones that you just kind of run across.
Right, yep.
So in solos, you have to do this really fucking weird method to get the points because you run out of water if you try doing the minigame proper in solo. You just can't do it. So you have to you do this method where you wait for the timer, game starts, you run down, you go check these 2 vents, put a rock on and mine it on this one vent 3 times and then leave. And you get 12k points an hour doing that, and you need 10k to buy the vessel.
Okay.
And then you need 40k for the volcanic mine thing, right? So in my head, I'm okay, so I just do an hour of that, 12k an hour, that's fine. You know what I mean? Do a little bit under an hour, get my vessel, then I'm going to go and look up the actual way of soloing the minigame. So I look it up, and I'm okay, that's easy enough. Do that for an hour or 2, and there's no way of actually knowing how many points you have unless you trade the vendor guy that's outside of the minigame, which is it's really dumb. I want to see how many points I have in total.
Yeah, it's weird.
And after an hour and a bit, I got 3 or 4k points. I was so fucking pissed. I'm what the hell is this? So I start looking around, and it's no. You play the minigame for experience, but if you actually want to, you try to beat it, but you can't because it's solo. And you do that if you want experience. But if you're soloing, you jump in and out, and you mine this thing 3 times and put rocks on it 3 times and tag these 2 vents and run in and out. And you just do that, and it's so super boring. And anyways,
Sounds confusing. I don't understand at all.
It's not that. It's so mind-numbingly boring. It's just like, you watch like Wooks' like little video on how to do it, and you're like, oh, that's it? Okay, that sucks. Yeah, it's super boring. And then I found when I was trying to like solo it, like before I knew how bad of points it was, when I was like just doing the experience method, I guess, I noticed that like, so the main thing with the minigame is that there's like a mine stability percentage, and that like goes up or down depending on how you're doing with like the pressurizing of the vents. Because like the method I was doing, which is the most common, you only micromanage 2 of the 3. So there's some RNG to it where, well, there's actually a decent amount of RNG in the mini game. But you know, if you're solo, it's going to affect you. If you're in a group, it's not. But yeah, sometimes you have to leave early, and I've had it where like, instead of like you dying when it hits 1%, I've died when it hit 30%, and then the mine collapsed, and I had like 4 minutes on the clock still. Like, there's just so much weird shit. Like, I hated it. It was like 5 or 6 hours of like, it felt like teeth farming. That's what it felt like to me.
Teeth farming sucks. It's not, I mean, it does suck.
It's awful. I got my farming outfit at teeth farming, and it was brutal.
It's kind of like pest control, where the first run, you're like, oh, this is all right. This isn't too bad. I don't mind this.
The issue with it is you have to put in so much time to actually get something out of it. But the main thing is, teeth farming, you can turn your brain off and you're fine. And you can like sit there and constantly run through the motions. And then every like, 30 minutes, you just run in and out of the room and get your seeds again. Like you deposit and go grab more seeds. With Volcanic Mine, you jump in for like a minute, do some random ass shit where you're like putting boulders onto a vent and then instantly mining them. Like, it's just dumb. And then you jump out. You have to like, you can't teleport out. You have to run in and then like, whatever. A lot of running around and then waiting too. You have to wait for the minigame to start as well. Because you're like leaving it. I don't know. It sucked. But I got the spell, so that's okay.
That's pretty brutal. About teeth farming though, one thing I hated was disconnecting. Because you have to do like 4 runs before you run out of seeds. But the first 3 don't give you any points.
Yeah, you get
Something
the points
like
when you at 75 out of 100 turn-ins, because you get 100 seeds. And so at 75, up to 75, you get nothing out of it, I believe. And then the last 25 is where you get all your points.
I remember doing it way back when Jagex's servers were kind of a little shoddy for a week, and I just kept disconnecting.
So this past week and last month?
Yeah, this was like 2 years ago, maybe. So it's kind of a reoccurring thing. But anyways, back to the Volcanic Mines. That's kind of disappointing to hear. I kind of assumed it was going to be like Wintertodd. When they first announced it, that's what I thought it was going to be. Wintertodd, but for mining. Maybe not for how fast the experience is, but Wintertodd's, it's kind of fun. Like, it's not the worst thing.
Okay, let me make it okay. So if you're listening and you do not give a fuck about Volcanic Mine, imagine Wintertodd. There's no fletching. There's no wood cutting of the logs to, fletch and burn and stuff. You just go and click the mine, but people will have to spend 30 to 40 seconds, maybe even a minute, to repair and light the bonfires on fire for you. So you can go back to your fire making shit, putting the logs or the sticks in. That's what I mean with if you're in a group, you're gonna have to coordinate and take turns running to micromanage. I mean, it's not every 30 seconds you have to do it, but you will have to do it a couple times, and you'll have to go and check the vents, which it's kind of a hassle.
Is it something that would be that you could see it being fun with a group of people?
No.
Okay.
No. It's the thing is that it's not hard or not engaging really. You just you click the mine thingy, you're oh, let's watch my feet so I don't fall in the lava.
So you can't really AFK it, right? That's the thing. I feel like there's 2 terms of AFK for RuneScape. There's AFK where, hey, I'm wood cutting right now, I can go play another game on my monitor. And then there's AFKing where you can watch Netflix, but you couldn't play a game because you got to click every 4 seconds.
So Yeah, it's kind of weird how people consider Arty Knights AFK, where you literally can't be away from your keyboard because you're so busy just like...
Yeah.
Oh, no, I'm AFKing, guys. I'm away from my keyboard right now. I was like, no, you're not looking at your screen.
Yeah, I've gone to that argument with agility where people are saying agility's pretty AFK. And I'm like, it's not, 'cause you got to click it every like 5 seconds or so. You might be able to watch something on the side, and with muscle memory and just getting in the groove, you can kind of watch the movie in its entirety while also doing agility. But it's not really AFK in the sense that AFK stands for away from keyboard.
Yeah. No, agility's definitely not AFK.
That's why I said there's like two different like AFK can mean two different things in RuneScape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Should be like AFS, away from screen, maybe? Well, that doesn't work either.
Not paying attention. NPA.
NPA. I don't think that would catch on, but we could try.
Yeah. Just say you're like pulling a Stevie Wonder or something, not looking at your screen.
That's a lot to type.
Yeah, true. Yeah, anyways, I think that's all. I'm probably missing some stuff, but I didn't really do much this week. Just whole lot of nothing.
Fun stuff.
Yeah, what would you do?
Exactly the same thing. A whole lot of nothing. It's been great. So last week I talked about how I was kind of getting a little bit of a burnout, I suppose. Not burnt out, but I felt, I guess, demotivated. I don't know what term you want to use, but I just felt like if I continued going hard and doing, let's say, if I did my Abyssal Sire task and just going hard at it, and then I went to go do some other PVM things or whatever it is, I might end up just burning out hard from this game and not even wanting to touch it for a while. So I thought this week, I'm going to take it easy, and I'm just going to do some really AFK skills. Because, I would like to think that I'll be able to max my account one day in every skill. Whether I will or not, we'll have to see. Some skills I just dread. I couldn't imagine getting 99 in agility, but anyways.
99 everything but agility?
Yeah. Talk to Jagex about making a almost maxed account.
Yeah.
Almost max cape.
Maybe do some sort of thing where you trade off experience in one skill and put it into another.
That's a great idea. Or maybe be like, hey, if I pay you guys money, will you just give me my agility levels? That's...
How about this? I give you money, you let me spin some sort of wheel, but don't call it Wheel of Fortune because trademark issues.
Yeah, that could be an issue.
Let's get something close to that, though, and then we'll get, lamps, experience lamps.
Yeah, because lamps, that kind of stays canon with the old school RuneScape universe, because we get tons of lamps all the time.
Yep.
Interesting. You might be onto something.
Yeah.
But anyways, until that happens, I have just been woodcutting this week, really. I've just been woodcutting. I've done some cooking, because why not? Cooking's really fast experience. I'm 94 cooking. So I do that when I'm working on something that I can AFK. I don't know. I've been playing a lot of Rimworld. That game has just fucking dug its claws into me. What an awesome game. What a frustrating game.
Oh yeah, good game.
It's a great game. Deagin's talked about it in the past, and I think we were talking about it on the podcast, and it kind of made me want to check it out. Ended up buying it, started playing it. You get really frustrated and constantly have your colony, fucking everyone dying in it.
Yeah.
Over stupid reasons.
You got your little drug farm going, and some dude goes in and starts doing all your coke. So you're like, oh, well, let's put him out here and publicly execute him. All right, don't do drugs, guys.
Everyone's walking around in sadness.
Everyone's all emotionally distressed because I just, murdered some dude with a family, but he's addicted to drugs, eating up my supplies.
That's great. See, I don't ever get that far. What happens to me is I have this colony going. It seems I got tons of food. I got a nice barracks that's in the middle of being constructed where it's huge. It's got a hall and a dining and party room. It's going to be great when it's done. You got 4 or 5 people, and they all have their tasks they're really good at. You got one guy who's a really good doctor. Unfortunately, the rest refuse to do doctoring. Kind of an issue. You have one guy who's great at shooting, but the other ones, they don't want to do any violence, so they won't fight at all. What's this? A rabbit goes becomes a manhunter, which happens to some animals where they just come straight for your colonists and they start attacking anyone they see. Oh, they attack your doctor, you kill it, but now the doctor is kind of bleeding and he gets an infection, but since nobody else can take care of him, he ends up just starving to death. Now you're out of a doctor, and then your other guy gets hurt, let's just say, and now he's in there. Nobody can take care of him, so he ends up dying. And then next thing you know, you have no one who can do any violence, and then you get raided, and these guys come in and just kidnap all your people, and you're just sitting there like, everything was good a day ago. That fucking rabbit.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the whole don't put all your eggs in one basket type thing.
I guess.
See, what you have to do is when you capture people and try and interrogate them, if they don't submit, what you do is you gotta have one jail cell connected to like your freezer, and so you have the AC blowing hot air into one tiny room and you put them in there and you just let them cook. And then like you wait a little bit till they're almost dead or they're passing from heat stroke, and then you like take them out and nurse them back and do the process all over again. Or you just you just kill them. Yeah, dude, you gotta do what you gotta do.
See, then again, I did it all wrong. I was gonna say I'm afraid of having prisoners because I did it before, but I made these prison cells like super. They were basically isolation chambers. All of them were, and I was thinking of making a colony that was gonna sell slaves. So I had like 4 dudes pinned up in this like 1x2 cell that had no heat, no AC. You just slept on the ground. It didn't really work out too well.
Yeah,
they weren't too happy.
Yeah, I can see where that's going.
Well, I would try to like get them, like you can talk to them and charm them into your colony. But then I just looked at their
happiness
like,
and stuff.
Their happiness, and I was like, "Ooh, that's dark. This guy's damaged. I don't even want to try it." And it becomes a cycle where like you're afraid to let anybody into that chamber because he might just attack them because he's going crazy with no light, no nothing.
Yeah. I find when I play that game, no matter what I do, I end up just selling a lot of drugs.
See, I want to get there, but I just keep getting raided.
True.
Anyways, it's a great game. It's a lot of fun, and we've said it before, but it's a really great RuneScape game because as soon as you click off of it, it pauses the game. But on top of that, there's a lot of lulls where you're just kind of waiting for things to happen, or your guys are recovering, so you just have it on like 4 times speed. And you let it just run through the time when you're kind of clicking back and forth. It works really well.
Yeah. I will say, before we actually move on, the one thing I hate about that game is that the second my colony's completely automated, where I don't have to do anything, the plague hits, and just everyone gets fucking sick. And I'm like, okay, well, we're gonna lose now.
Well, I'm gonna have to euthanize 4 people because the plague's gonna spread if I don't.
Hey, there's merchants that are traveling. Well, let's give them the plague now.
Yeah, weaken their colony and take it over.
Yeah.
It's cool. I get a lot of cool ideas of what I want to do. You can do a drug colony or sell slaves. One thing I want to do now is sell organs. Get prisoners and just knock them out with anesthetic. Harvest some lungs and some livers and hearts and then sell it.
Oh, yeah.
Problem there is you got to get the right person to do it. You get the wrong person, and now they're fucking gone on a rampage. Oh, they're a pyromaniac, and now they've set your whole fucking building on fire because he's gone crazy, just slicing up people.
I guess before we move on, I have been playing a lot of Terraria.
Oh yeah, I wanted to ask you what games you've been playing since you said you haven't been playing too much RuneScape.
I played a little bit of Overwatch. I haven't really played the game since September. I was like really close to Masters. And then I jumped on this week, got placed in like mid-diamond. I'm like, okay, cool. Might be able to get to Masters. And then like the game is like so different, like the meta and shit. I guess it'd be similar if I were to like play League now. Where like stuff that people would pick and you're like, oh, is this guy trolling? But it's like, no, it's actually meta. Like it's what everyone plays. So it's kind of weird. That and the amount of end bombs I hear in a single night, just like, I don't want to play a game anymore. It's kind of awkward.
On League or Terraria?
Overwatch. Neither
Overwatch. Why was I thinking League? I guess because you just mentioned it. Okay.
Yeah.
I've never played Overwatch. I went to a bar once, an esports bar, and they were having a tournament on the big screens. That was interesting to watch.
Yeah. Dude, if there's a bunch of N-bombs on a single-player Terraria game, I think that'd just be on my shoe.
Yeah.
I think that'd be all me. But,
fair enough.
No, I mean, I like Overwatch and stuff. I honestly feel like my, like, urge to play competitive games kind of goes away. Because, like, normally I'm like, oh, I'm on, like, dude, I hit, like, a fucking, like, 13 loss streak, and I did not, like, I was like, okay, that sucks. But then people are, like, screaming each other over the mics, and usually I'd be like, you should fuck up. Like, I'd get really into it and stuff. I'd be shit talking super hard, like, type to the team, like, oh, your sniper's trash, blah, 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 blah. Like, you know, play like Widow, which is the sniper, and, like, just, like, shit talk. Like, not, like, be toxic, but, like, do it in, like, a trolley friendly way, but, like, no, but, like, I don't know. Then I see people, like, getting, like, they might be trolling, but they also, some people are just, like, super fucking angry, and, like, you know, you get some of the racist people, and I'm just like, you know what? Let me just mute all my chats. You know, I'll just play the game, and it's like, I don't know. I just can't really, like, get super competitive anymore. It's weird. So I started playing Terraria, which I haven't played since the game was released, actually.
That's a great game.
They've had, like, the amount of, like, progression that's in that game is super fucked. Like, they added so much stuff. There's like a RuneScape mod. You know that?
No way.
Yeah.
How does that even work? You just level up wood cutting and shit, or what do you mean?
Well, like, there's, like, golems you kill, you get mine runes, and you can cast spells, you get, like, full arums and stuff like that.
No way, that sounds awesome.
I haven't, tried it. My buddy said it was kind of cool.
That's interesting. On the topic of RuneScape mods for other games, I remember Skyrim had one. This was a long time ago when it first came out. You've played Skyrim. You have a bunch of skills, and it's like different combat skills, and you pick. It's similar to RuneScape in the sense that there's a bunch of skills you can level up. Anyways, switch all the skills in Skyrim, so you don't have illusions, you don't have sneak, but instead you got like wood cutting now, and you go and you can wood cut trees and level it up. It was an interesting idea, but at the time it was super bare bones, and there was not much you could do.
Yeah, servers disconnecting.
Yeah. Yeah, it was pretty good. Very immersive.
Yeah, pretty cool. Anyways, shall we,
Yeah, I think that was it for my week. Well, actually, I got one more thing to mention on the topic of merching. Way back when you had brought up your little merching spree, kind of got me interested, so I started looking into some items. I have one item with a bunch of money locked away. Not looking good. I'll just say that right now. It's not looking good. But we're going to hold out for a while. We'll see how it goes.
Yeah.
But another item that I bought into was uncut onyxes.
Yep.
I bought like 10 of them for 2.8 mil each.
What was your reasoning for that?
I had a reason. I don't remember what it was. I'm trying to think now. I think I had a reason. I might have just been looking at random items.
Okay.
Maybe somebody mentioned something that, oh, Furies, I've dropped a bunch. And I was like, Furies, onyxes, let's do it. I can't remember what it was. This was a few weeks ago, maybe even over a month. But I bought about 10 of them for 2.8 mil because I looked at the margins and they were around 2.9 when I put the offer in, and then I just waited a while and then I bought them all. Yep. And they sat in for like a month, but they sold this week. I put them in to sell for 3.2 mil. Got 400k from each of the onyxes, which is like 4 mil after selling all 10, which was nice.
Yeah, it's good.
So it's not bad. You just got to look for an item and watch the waves and be like, oh, it was at 3 point. You got to find an item that you know won't ever drop too much. And I figured the onyx probably won't drop ever. I don't think it'll ever stabilize at a lower price because I don't know. Furies are kind of sought after, especially because of Zenite.
Yeah.
Yeah, you just got to use both of the gems for that top tier jewelry. So yeah, but that's it for my merching. On that note, let's hop right into the news.
All right, so the first thing we get to talk about is the Theater of Blood entry mode poll blog.
Fun.
So they pretty much say that when they first announced Theater of Blood, it would be challenging, rewarding, and emphasize on the need for teamwork. They've gone back on all of this.
Changed their mind. They thought, that was a great idea, but let's, I guess we're kind of bored of watching the groups. Let's see how solo players can do it.
Keep in mind, I'm paraphrasing because I'm pretty biased against this. but they want to change Theater of Blood in terms of difficulty and group size requirements, so they want to take out the challenge aspects, and the need for teamwork, but they want to keep in some rewarding aspects.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so the current average is 1,500 unique players doing Theater of Blood per day, and they thought that was a little bit too low. They want people to be participating.
Interesting. Okay. Well,
they don't want to devalue the people that have already put in time. Funny enough, I have some people that are like, we need more people doing Theater of Blood. There are some content creators / streamers well, I guess that's it, that are also in the same mindset, like Cloud Badass. I know his Discord /CC. He's teaching people how to do raids.
Yeah. Okay.
So there are people actively trying to get more people to do it. So I guess people do agree not enough are doing it, but they want to do entry mode. And I've bitched about this heavily in the past, how dumb this is, but this is kind of what they want to do. Specifics. This is what it's put in the poll and has potential to go live. So entry mode is aimed at any group of 1 to 5 players. 5 is the max. All encounters will be rebalanced to be aimed at lower levels with less expensive gear. And they're thinking around 100 to 110 combat. I'll complain about that in a second.
Yeah, let's go through all these, and we'll go back and touch on what our thoughts of each of them.
Yeah. The health of the monsters found will scale to suit the team size. This would work for all team sizes, including solo and duo. Because, in non-entry, it only goes down to 3.
Gotcha.
That's what I specify. Where possible, the same encounter mechanics found in Theater of Blood will remain for entry mode. Some tweaks may have been made to allow for solo play. They have cut the gravestone cost in half from 50k, which it typically is 100k. The only unique items that can be rewarded from the entry mode are the Avernic hilt and the Justisar, Justicar, Justin's car, whatever you want to call it.
Justin's car sounds good.
Yeah, the armor. So the chance an Avernic hilt and the Justisar armor in a team of 3 to 5 players would roughly be 10 times rarer than the Theater of Blood completion. The chance of obtaining the hilt and the armor when solo or duo would be even further, and yeah. So the death and supply shops and the way loot, including uniques, is awarded will follow the same rules. The number of deaths will impact the quality and quantity of loot you receive. The supply chest shops will not allow players to effectively farm high level potions.
Oh, interesting. Cool.
Yeah.
We talked about that, so.
Yep. No chance of getting the pet. And a separate kill count tracker and leaderboard. This will not count towards the shroud. And then the poll question is pretty much, should they add all of this trash to the game?
He's not trying to sway your vote or anything. Yeah. So obviously there's a little bit of bias, and this is something I've been thinking about, because every now and then I'll get into a little disagreement with someone on Reddit about why I don't think this is the best idea. And there's a lot of people who are for it. There's also a lot of people who are against it as well. But it just got me wondering, why me as an individual isn't really a fan of this, even though I can't do, not that I can't, but I just don't do Theater of Blood right now. I don't do any PVM, but even if I did want to do it, I'd be kind of struggling with the gear that I have. But it kind of got me thinking, why I'm so for it. And I just think you and I both have experience in other MMORPGs that have raids in it. So I feel like that's where some of our biases come from, where we play a bunch of these other games and we get this, I guess, a standard for how raiding is. So then when we come over to old school RuneScape, which kind of lacks that type of standard, we get kind of excited for it, because I know for me, when I originally saw the raid, you need a group of 5 people, it brought back some of the feelings that I would get when I would be raiding with my guild in World of Warcraft, when you have 10 people all together meeting up on one specific night to finally get this boss down that you guys been working on for weeks or sometimes even months, because the boss is pretty tough. Which it was always a nice social aspect. It's kind of a double-edged sword, because I also have tons of memories of it being Tuesday night, and my friends are like, hey, let's go to a restaurant. I'm like, no problem, but I need to be home for 8. So you obviously, that's what it was a lot of fun, but sometimes you were blowing off some real life plans to do some online gaming, which...
Or you're living with your roommates, you're in your room locked away because you have a lock on your door, doing the new raid that came out that night, or like that week, and you just hear... Derek, you gonna come down? And you're just like, oh, for fuck's sakes, who is this? I've never heard this voice before. Someone's telling this person to come get me, and I can't say no, I'm playing World of Warcraft because I don't know who it is.
I'm jerking off. Don't come in right now. Masturbating all night every Tuesday for 4 hours. So, yeah, it got me thinking, like, RuneScape obviously is a lot different than most of these MMOs. You kind of get this, like, the culture of how people play in the game and their mindset with it, or the reason maybe some people are playing old school RuneScape compared to other games. But, yeah, I don't know, it just got me thinking. And then I started thinking about all the other MMOs I've played in the past, and it doesn't seem like a lot of them struggle with this problem. So, like, Deagin, what MMOs have you sunk some time into over your online gaming career, if you want to put it that way?
When we start listing them?
Yeah, let's...
Guild Wars 1 and 2, put a lot of time into those. WoW. WildStar, I hate to admit it. Albion Online a little bit. There's that one Korean MMO that was super based on PvP.
Not Black Desert.
I played a bunch of Black Desert. Oh, dude. I was obsessed with that game. I had to quit. I was too addicted to it.
Oh, wow.
I was way too into that. I forced myself off. What the fuck is this game? I can't think of the name. It's not Bless Online. I'm not that dumb.
Final Fantasy? Not Korean, but...
Blade and Soul. That's what I'm thinking of. I put a bunch of time into Blade and Soul.
Okay.
And I played not a lot of XIV. I played a bit, but not a lot. I played a lot of different MMOs. I like them.
Yeah, I do too. And people say it's a dying genre, but there's a lot of really solid games out there. I played a little bit of Guild Wars 1, but not enough to know how that game actually was. I've played Guild Wars 2. That game was fantastic. For leveling up, one of the most fun games I've played.
Disagree, but continue.
Fair enough. World of Warcraft, I've sunk in a lot of time into it. That was basically my game I switched to when I quit RuneScape back in 2007 with the removal of the wilderness. I've played some Elder Scrolls Online. I never got to the end game, but I still dabbled into it. That was fun for a while. And then the only other game, this isn't an MMO, but it had a lot of raiding and party systems in it, and that game was Destiny 1. Which, that game sucks in a lot of ways, but if there's one thing they did right, it's the rating in that game.
To get cash from their players.
Yeah. Destiny 1 was pretty bad. Destiny 2 was even worse, which is why I never even purchased that game. But the only thing I will hands off to Bungie for was the raids in the first Destiny. I had some awesome times. And the thing is, that game didn't even have a group finding system within the game. You had to fucking go onto a subreddit or go onto another website to find your group. And the worst thing is that game was a console game, so it was only on PS4 or Xbox One. So it's not like you could easily go onto a website while you're playing it. You had to go get your laptop, get your phone, I guess your phone's kind of easy, but still, you're using another device to try to find a group.
Yeah.
But still, I was able to do it, had a blast. But yeah, none of those games, they all have their traditional party system. You need 5 people, minimum, usually. Destiny, you had a 3 party and then 5 for the raids. But none of them really struggled with people wanting to have their own solo, like being able to solo all this content. A lot of them were just like, yeah, it's end game content. You need a group. What else is new? Like, it was kind of just more accepted.
Yeah, it's a bit different. I think RuneScape's like very different, I guess.
But that's where some of our biases come from, is from all these other games we've played, that this was like the traditional way of doing raiding or endgame PVM.
Well, like, I know like a lot of people, they get suckered, like for RuneScape specifically, they get suckered into the mindset of, I want to go bossing, but I don't want to split. But I also don't want a free-for-all, because if they get the item, then I don't get a split.
Yeah.
And when you play like every other MMO we pretty much listed, like Albion Online's different because like the dungeons are PvP instant, like you can fight other parties. It's weird. Anyways, you're rewarded more for like playing with other people. Like immediate reward where like you guys kind of all get your own loot. Yeah. You know? Like it's not like I'm stealing. If like an Avernic like defender or hilt drops and we're in like a 4-man and it's like me, you, a wild boy, and then some random like trash kid that we just found on the street. You know, we needed one. I don't know. We just found him while we were running there, and he was like, "Oh, let me." And then we have to split with them. We're like, "Ugh!" Like you kind of just sigh.
Yeah. Okay.
Just in general, like you've probably had it where like if you're PvM with someone you don't know, and if a unique drops, or like sometimes you don't want a unique drop. I've had that where like I've raided with someone that I don't know at all, like for we do raids, and I'm like, just let this fucking unique drop next raid. I don't want this person to get any part of my money. Like, unless they get the drop, then I want part of their money. You know what I mean? Like it comes from like more of a selfish place, I think.
Okay, that's fair.
Wanting to solo. It's not like, because every other game has, you click a button, you teleport to the instance, you do it, you leave. And you can just do that over and over again. RuneScape, you have to like dedicate, you have to like get the group together, that's a good thing. Auto like LFG looking for group stuff is awful for like the health of an MMO because RuneScape's so bare bones and people just don't want to take the time to find groups. They just don't do it. Like me. Like I have like one group that like, they're like, yeah, come do a raid with us. Come do Theater of Blood. And then like, they just don't message me back when I'm like, all right, well, let me know when you're done. Let me know when you're out of this one. If you still need one more. But I'm not really going to go out of my way and look for it. So I think there's a lot of people in my position that just want to like maybe try solo or like grab one friend and go do it in an easier format.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a good argument on why something like this should be introduced into the game.
That being said, I think I mentioned before, but like even though it's 10 times more rare, like the potential to leapfrog content is very scary. So last time I checked, the hilt was over 200 mil. Let's say you're doing a 4-man because that's like reasonable. So you're doing a 4-man, you get a 50 mil split on a hilt. Like you're able to leapfrog so much and it's just out of RNG. I understand that's how like RNG works. Maybe you go super dry, maybe not. You're able to like buy, you can make that 50 mil do so much for you if you're level 110 like to 100. Like I didn't even have full bandos to like level 120, level 121, which like is a long way to like 126, but like, you know, and I was like pretty smart with my money, dude. I used a fire torso for the longest time because it's the same strength bonus. But if you get like, the main thing is that like this gives you potential to like, you hit 110 at NMZ, you go do pest control for normal void because you don't want to get a lead void. That's too much work. And then you go run like 6 of them and then you get like a nice split. And now you're like, oh, I'm swimming in cash. I don't do God Wars Dungeon anymore. And there's so much gameplay that you just kind of skipped out on.
See, that's also a good counterpoint because around 100, 110 is kind of when you start getting groups together for God Wars.
Yeah, God Wars and wilderness bosses, all that. That like usually like, I noticed like between 100 and 110, I end up deleting them all sadly because they all quit or started asking me for money or some shit, or they just like stopped leveling as fast as I did and I could never play with them. But that's where I made most of my friends like organically in the game.
Yeah.
Like you would need people to go do PVM and then you're like, we're the same level. Let's go learn Sarah together. And then you would go and just like do some Sarah or some shit, right? Oh, let's go do this boss. Like you're like, we now have the stats and the entry level gear. Let's just, and you could just find a lot of people to do that. I guess it could be the same with Theater of Blood in terms of like that, but you're still skipping like a lot of like, I don't know, good times, I guess, good content, I should say.
Yeah, obviously we don't know how this is going to be implemented or how people will fare in it, but let's just pretend a group of 5 people or 100 to 110 are able to reasonably do it after a few attempts. Why would you go to Bandos for that with that group of, maybe go to Bandos if you can only find a couple other people and you don't want to do, this entry mode with a group of 2 others. So 3 of you might just go to Bandos instead, but.
Okay, well, how about this? So, last time I checked, talking to my buddy who like spams a bunch of Theater Blood, talking to his friends, they all averaged around 10 mil an hour doing Theater Blood. Keep in mind, they're like max level with max gear. Like they're shredding. Like they're not like putting around. Like they they're whipping out the T-bows and stuff.
And you're also waiting. You still have to wait for all the items to kind of settle to where they're going to stay at.
But like even still though, they're still pulling. Like when I was talking to one of them last night, they're still pulling close to 10 mil an hour because like it's fast. Anyways, so let's just say it's like 800 to 900k an hour, or like maybe 700k an hour because you don't have a T-bow and stuff, and you're in entry mode because 10 times less likely to get a unique, even though that's not really how it works out. But we're just gonna pretend because like it's gonna be a bit more than that because I don't think the alcohols, like the random shit stuff that you get, like the filler loot till you hit the uniques. I think that's all the same. They don't talk about nerfing it, and I know you can get some like nice GP out of that.
Oh yeah? I always thought it was just enough to tie you over till you get something. It's nothing that
it's better than like Chamber of Xerix. Like Xerix, like really that ties you over. You're happy with 450k. Like I'm pretty sure you get a lot more than that if you're like competent, not dying and stuff, and doing well.
Interesting. Okay.
The main thing is that the entry level to do this is lower than Xerix. You don't need 78 Herblore. You don't need the Elite Stun. Well, you don't need Elite Stun to, like, the Elite Western. That's what I mean when I say Elite. Or, sorry, the Hard. My bad. The Hard Western Diaries for the Elite Void. The gear, you don't need the same. You bring, like, a DDS as a spec weapon. Have salve amulets. Extra salve, like, just the enchant on imbued. Have extras you can drop. Like, the gear you bring into this is, like, not actually as much as like, Chamber of Xerix, which is weird.
Yeah, that's true.
And they did mention that they don't want it to be progression, but this kind of takes out the need to do Chamber of Xerix, especially with no scouting, especially where teams are pulling 3-mans on normal, and they're all like 3-mans in the current state. All Iron Men are pulling like sub 30, like every time.
Yeah,
like it's quick. It's really really quick. So. I don't know. I'm kind of worried because there are like a lot of nerfs in terms of like the health, and they don't specify what kind of with like less expensive gear, but entry level gear for Theater Blood is Void. So maybe they refer to like they're gearing it towards like a level 105 with just regular Void. Is that fair to assume?
It's hard to say. It really is, right? Because I don't know.
It worries me. I know like it's entry mode and stuff, but I don't really think you should be making any money. I think it should literally be a thing where like, yo, can you teach me how to do Theater of Blood? Yeah, let's jump into entry mode.
Yeah. Or like, let's say like me and you both about in the 120s, we get a group together and we want to try Theater of Blood, but we're like, we don't want to die a bunch. Let's go learn the mechanics in entry mode. And then once we can do that, then we'll go to the actual mode and actually make some money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's super weird. I know Rs3 is like practice mode and stuff, but I don't know, like, this wasn't a thing for Chamber of Xerix.
I think the problem is that a lower level group can do Chambers of Xerix, and no matter what, they can complete it no matter how many times they die. They don't have to restart it over and over again. You also don't lose any money. Right?
Yeah,
except for the resources.
Scale, I guess that does make sense, but
because Ulm, like I said last week or the week before, Ulm is a very hard fight. I brought 2 guys in there, or 3 guys, just kind of teaching them the raid, and it kind of reminded me of my first times doing it and getting my ass absolutely handed to me. Because what endgame content would be before Ulm
in terms of difficulty?
Yeah, Zulrah.
Yeah,
like mechanic-wise.
In terms of difficulty, yeah, I think Zulrah is like the hardest, I guess. I don't think there's any boss that's actually like Zulrah's not even hard. It's just you don't memorize and you don't know what's coming next. That's what makes Zulrah hard. Like bossing it in general, like the whole process of it is like learning how to do it, and then you autopilot until you're done with the boss for good, pretty much.
But like Ohm is a huge leap forward to any of the PVM content we've seen beforehand. Like there's just so many mechanics to look out for. It's very tough. But that being said, a group of, me and then 3 other guys who had never done it before, no matter how geared you are, and no matter how many videos you're going to watch, you're going to die a bunch your first fight. Since you have not much to go off, like experience-wise when it comes to that type of bossing, there's no other boss that can kind of get you ready for that type of stuff. It's really fucking hard.
Yep.
You're constantly looking out for shit and changing things and eating between hits. You have a lot to pay attention to. The difference is, you can die 10 times, his health stays the same, eventually you'll get him down. So it's a lot easier, whereas Theater of Blood, let's say you finally get to the end boss and she one-bombs you, you gotta start all over again. You can't keep going at that boss and learning the mechanics and just kind of pushing through it. You have to do it all over again, and you're gonna have to beat every boss flawless at some point in order to finish the raid. Not flawless, but you know what I mean? Like, you don't have as much of a safety net as you do with Chambers of Xeric.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, like, what's next? Are they going to have the loot shops? They're going to change the reward stuff to, like, now you see part of, like, what you're getting at the end. You know what I mean? Like, you're getting incremental drops and stuff. I don't know. It's super, like...
We'll have to see.
The one thing I'm, like, trying to worry about is that, like, I don't want to sound super gatekeepy and stuff like that, being like you should really be at like high level with like all like this and this done before you should be allowed to do that. Like, I don't want to sound like that kind of a person. Eventually, like Chambers of Xeric's tied over people that were like max and stuff for like a year or two, right?
Yep.
And this, I feel like, will tie him over for maybe a year or two.
If even.
Maybe, and then they're gonna go back to Xeric's for a little bit. Like, it's kind of like this content was kind of, I think it came out for people that, like, originally it was meant for people that not were max, but like had played the game a lot and were kind of like, well, like, what now? I'm kind of getting bored. This game's getting pretty stale. I need something fresh to keep me in. So like, big PVM challenge. Don't really want it to be a thing where a lot of the higher levels get burnt out, because now they can run solos all the time. Like, in my mind, Theater of Blood was, it was like, you have a bunch of people on, we'll go, instead of doing a 4+1 or something for Xeric's, just go do Theater of Blood, and if you have like 3 or less, go do Xeric's. You know what I mean? Like, there's 2 raids you can do now. It's not like, do this raid. Like, I think that's actually where, like, my main issue is. Like, it was...
I think, like, it could still be tough for level 1 to 10. It probably will be pretty tough, but I kind of agree with you.
Yeah.
Like, being it, like, you saying you don't want it to be gatekeepy and being, well, you need to be, like, the top of the... You have to be really, like, the best of the best in order to compete with this.
You need to be this tall to ride. Like, no, yeah.
It prevents a lot of people from doing it, but... on the other side of it, it gives a goal for you to aim for.
Yep.
Whereas if you can do it at entry mode, I don't know, I feel like that kind of takes away some of that goal, because the difference is it's a bit harder, okay. The loot's not as good, okay, but it's still there.
So, okay, riddle me this. How many of you guys either know someone or this happened to, when like Inferno came out, how many of you guys were like super motivated to play the game or to like try it out when you saw like streamers going for it? You saw this big hype around the new Inferno cape where it's like, this is hard content. Like, this is like people are like, I'm not going to try until I have a T-bow and an Ellie. You know what I mean? Like, there's, I kind of have that mindset. I want to get a T-bow before I start doing Inferno, but even if you're like a level 80 and stuff and you're like watching this stuff go down, or like you heard about it, you like, so many of us were like, holy shit, I am really excited to like get to that point one day and I could have that cape. That is so cool. I personally know like 2 or 3 people that they didn't even play RuneScape, and we would sit there and like watch the streams, and like they made accounts to play the game. They like, yeah, I want to try RuneScape now. And they like made an account, played it, and then like all like people like even with Theater of Blood were like, I'm resubbing. I'm gonna play for, you know, they quit after a month or two, some of them, but some of them stay with it. But the main thing is that like if it's like the super like, I don't want to say like prestigious, but like challenging, I guess, content that comes out motivates a lot of people to like start grinding and to go for those goals, even if it's temporary. Like it gives a lot of people incentive to like log back in and keep on playing, because hey, look at this sweet thing you could accomplish at some point if you just play a lot.
Yeah, like I think we'll move on shortly. We won't go on too much longer about this, but I agree. I don't feel like you're gonna do entry mode. That might be your goal. Let's say you're level 100 and you're gonna go, I can't wait till I can start doing some Theater of Blood entry mode. It's gonna be sweet. We can get a couple guys together. Maybe I'll just try it solo, whatever it is. I can't wait to finally get there. You get there, I don't feel somebody's going to beat entry mode and they're going to go, I can't wait to do Theater of Blood normal mode.
Yeah.
I don't feel that will be a goal. Again, if you like a lot of what I'm saying is I don't feel. I don't necessarily know, right? We don't know how this is going to play out. We could be 100% wrong. We've been wrong in the past about things.
I haven't, but
I have.
I'm never wrong.
It could be my bias from other games. Could just be me being kind of ignorant to some of the lower level PVMers, or maybe I'm ignorant to the people who are, maybe there's tons of top level PVMers doing Theater of Blood and they're just sick of doing it with the same 4 guys all the time.
Yep.
And they just want some other people to be motivated. Because 1,500 people, I can see that's a pretty low number. That kind of sucks. Will it increase? It would probably take a long time for that number to be at a really high number of a healthy number of raiders.
Yeah, I mean, okay, so what is the average player per day on Oldschool?
Amount of people playing?
Yeah.
I want to say like 50 to 60,000. So currently we have 68,000 people playing. I'd say, yeah, it's Sunday. So it's a good time to be playing it. But during the week, I want to say, I don't think it'll ever drop lower than 50,000, to be honest.
Yeah, so it seems like it's... Yeah, I think 50,000 is a pretty safe number to average at.
It's probably a lot higher, but still, let's just say 50,000.
Well, I'm looking at, like, Scape XP, which it just tracks the numbers of people playing. It's probably not that accurate, but yeah, I guess it does kind of seem a little low. I don't know, though. Maybe not. I don't know. It's weird. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll move on. I think we've talked about this a bit too much.
But yeah, I would love to hear everyone else's thoughts on it. Maybe give us some backgrounds if you've played some other MMOs or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Anyways, anything else we want to touch on for this one? Avernick hilt and Justiciar armor being the only drops. Maybe Jagex wants to be more of a common item. Maybe they want to settle at its price range quicker.
Yeah, I guess, yeah, they probably feel like it's taking a little bit too long, and maybe at the current player base, it's never really going to get there.
Yeah.
I don't know, though.
But I do know you linked a picture.
I think that was related to the Iron Men that were just ripping through. Yeah, like they, average 25 minutes-ish.
Yeah, and it's a group of 3.
Yeah.
Okay, so there are groups of 3 able to rip through it. These are probably top-level players.
Oh, yeah, they are.
Super good, like super skilled players. But interesting to see that there are groups of 3 who are able to run through it.
Yep. Anywho, they do have a poll on all that stuff, detailing all that jazz, I guess.
Yeah, it's all tied into one post, so one poll question. So it's either all going to pass or none of it will pass.
Yeah.
It'll be interesting to keep our eye on it to see if Jagex are willing to revert some of their nerfs. Maybe they seem like, okay, we don't want all these level 100s ripping through it. This is look at this. The Venezuelans are now just NMZing to 100 combat and ripping through.
Theater of Blood bots.
yeah, maybe. Who knows?
Yeah, whatever. Let's continue though. To something a little less interesting, but it is the Rune Fest theme reveal.
I am kind of excited for this new Rune Fest. It seems pretty cool. Unfortunately, I don't think I'll be going, but
no.
It will be fun to kind of watch the streams and see how everything kind of runs out. The past couple years, we've watched their announcements, which is always great. I even watched some of the RuneScape 3 stuff. Some of it is kind of interesting. Other stuff is, I don't know. It's going to be awesome to see the microtransaction that's going to fall out from this, but,
yeah,
we'll have to see.
Yeah, the theme is Relica, Fremnik Province.
Ooh, Vikings.
Yeah, see some skimpy women in some Viking outfits. I guess women in some skimpy Viking outfits.
Ooh.
So that's always nice. Yeah, anyways, cool stuff. They do have a video on their YouTube. It's actually kind of a good little video. I liked it.
Yeah, me too. It was kind of well produced. It seemed like the whole office got involved. Man, there's a lot of people working in those offices.
Yep, couple of vending machines.
They've got a large list of employees. I was surprised. I know there's a lot of people working on RuneScape 3, but still surprising to see.
Yeah. Deep down, you kind of hope they're all in a basement. They're just all these cramped ass
all
basement.
Temp workers. No benefits, nothing. But they did mention some things. As you said, the theme of it and what to expect. We've mentioned before they're going to be having this. Yeah, they're going to be having a concert with the Royal Philharmonic Concert Orchestra, which is a very prestigious orchestra, and they're going to be playing all RuneScape music. So that sounds actually pretty fucking sweet. That should be cool to watch. Some of that classic sea shanty too.
Mm-hmm.
Anyways, of course, there's going to be some beer there, so that's
got to be of age.
Yeah, and you got to be 18, so, in Canada, you got to be 19, unless you're in Montreal or Quebec. If you're in the U.S., 21, so you can go there and get a little bit of early drinking in, because I'm sure no one's ever touched a drink before the legal age.
Because that is against the law, and we don't do that.
Hell no. So if you want to go taste some beer, head on over to the UK for a weekend.
Couple of beer shots, have some fun.
Fuck yeah, get fucking trashed.
Oh yeah.
And of course, buying a ticket puts you in for a draw to win a awesome Chill Blast RuneScape themed computer.
So it just does not connect to your internet.
Nope.
I'm gonna always make that joke. Set me up, I'm gonna take that shot every single time. Anyways. Yeah, looks like Chill Blast really likes these little giveaways and stuff, They like working with Jagex, it's nice.
Yep.
But yeah, on their website they do have a whole thing about that. If you're participating in the giveaway, I guess, if you would be.
Yeah, they say the competition opens on July 3rd, but if you purchase a ticket beforehand, it will automatically be entered. The closing date for entries is October 5th. The winner will be picked randomly by an independent third party. Probably OS Buddy.
Yeah. Independent my ass.
The prize specification is subject to change. Gotta love that. Prepping for some controversy. There's no cash alternative for the prize. And if you're at Rune Fest, Jagex will make every effort so that you can take that computer home with you.
What are they just and Jim, you win, and they just hand him a PC mid Rune Fest and oh shit.
This thing's fucking big.
Go and take a piss and someone just yanks it. Boom, yeah. Gone.
Okay, I'm just gonna go to my my hotel room. Sorry, there is no re-entry. Do you have to do? Did this have to be the first event? Could you have not held off until Sunday?
Maybe get a backpack with some counterweights and some hooks. Just hook that shit in, you're set. Any hoozle, let's continue on with some updates that I was wrong about. I'll admit it. This is the first time for everything, and that's okay. So, game integrity changes. I was convinced thieving was coming I thought like the rest of them were coming in this time, but they did the anti-dragon protection this time around. So they made it so that players are now required to start Dragon Slayer in order to use any form of anti-fire protection. This includes the anti-dragon shield and the charged and uncharged version of the DFS, ward, and the ancient wyvern shield. All forms of dragon fire potion, including barbarian variants. For you barbarian potion fans out there, you know.
I have a few of them just in case.
Yep. Players who are currently assigned Dragon Slayer task. That's a Slayer task of dragons, not the quest. They put that in parentheses. Ha ha ha. You can visit.
You imagine getting a quest requirement from a Slayer master. Like, fucking son of a bitch.
Dude, do it. Fuck the peers. Yeah, so you can visit Turiel, and he will remove the task without affecting any streak. Only if you're already assigned this task, though. Any player who has purchased the Dragon Slayer task block or unlock will have their points refunded if they no longer are eligible to complete the dragon task.
Alright.
So, yeah, not bad. And this is kind of interesting, and I think we've talked about this before, but we might be curious, and I guess, well, I am at least, on how last week's integrity changes have, like, worked. And they have some data to share, and they have, like, a little graph. And this will show the number of accounts reported for body at the Wines of Zamorak and Zaf staff. And yeah, you can see that like it has dropped a decent amount. It's on the decline, not heavily, but like
I mean, Varrock's center has been a huge decline.
So let me rephrase this. So the Wines Center, Red Chinchompas, and the May Training Arena. And they're all, like, pretty heavy. They don't show, like, what the numbers mean, like, how many are being reported. They just show, like, what the graph looks like. And, yeah, things like the Mage Training, or this Wines of Zamorak are, like, they completely dropped. Mage Training Arena, you know, lower than before.
It's funny 'cause it shot up, and then it went down. So it's almost as if some bot programmers saw that these changes were coming up, and they're just, all right, get your bots going. We only got a week for this.
Yeah, let's transition some of these bots over. You know, make those Wines of Zammy levels get put to use. Those telegrabs. Yeah, so a lot of them have been on the decline. They do mention that, surprisingly enough, and I don't know why this is surprising, but surprisingly enough, the Mage Training Arena and the Red Chinchompas, they realize a lot of them are those pesky Venezuelan gold farmers.
Interesting. Little bit of Google Translate, and the quest is no problem.
I mean, they have, like, I know Venezuelans have Facebook groups on how to do certain quests and whatnot, and how to, like, gold farm effectively.
What a shitty situation that'd have to be in if you lived in Venezuela.
Dude, imagine having to do Dragon Slayer to make a living on, like,
Just
4
like-
accounts.
Imagine you're not even a gamer and you're playing fucking RuneScape.
True.
I used to work construction, now I'm playing this game.
Yeah. I was a doctor.
Yeah. God.
At least those steady hands, man. I guess it's a surgeon, but steady hands, got those hot switches.
Shit.
Can one tick switch like a madman. Anyways,
I feel more bad about the people who never played this game. They were a doctor, then they have to make their money off this game, then they get hooked. They can never go back to being a doctor now. RuneScape's their life.
Mobile came out.
Ooh.
Yeah. All right, let me just pull out my phone and give you your diagnosis. Sorry, 1 minute.
Oh, the servers.
Yeah. Goddamn, sir. Sorry, hold on. I gotta go close to my fucking router.
Gotta see what
Yeah,
the
no.
health is.
I don't work in rooms 8, 9, and 10. There's no service in there.
Yeah.
Anyways, so you know how bad the servers have been, right? They've not been the best. So Jagex decided to add 10 more worlds. I say that like it's a bad thing, like they're adding more worlds. I'm kind of just being a dick, but they added more worlds, which is obviously always nice. I guess the servers have been decent for me, at least recently, but I also haven't been on as much, but yeah, so that is nice. This is kind of anticipation for mobile. I've noticed like a lot of people are playing a lot more. It's not new players Because right now it's the beta, right?
Yep.
Oh, spoilers.
Oh, great.
But I've noticed that like it's retaining players, it's getting players to keep playing, I guess, while they're at work or like driving. Hopefully not, but
it's always good.
Yeah, so they've added a Oceanic server for free to play, 2 NA West servers free to play, one's a 500 total. They've added 3 NA Wests to members, one's a 1500 total. They added 2 EU members, one's a 2K total. They've added 2 NA Easts, one's a 2200 total and one's a 1500 total.
Is that our first 2200 total level?
I think so. I'm almost 2100, so I'm really excited to get to those. The true elite level world.
Until they release the 22070
2277?
77, is that the max?
Yeah.
I'm surprised they don't have one of those.
Oh, they will. Probably not.
Maybe.
Kind of hope so. That'd be kind of cool. Make it so like 5 people can be on at a time. Balanced. Yeah, in other news, the log storage crates found beside the hot air balloons have had their models updated.
Oh,
they
cool.
look pretty nice. The fletching skill cape and the max cape can no longer be used to obtain a bronze crossbow whilst in a duel.
Oh,
this was
nice.
because you could anti-scam, and I'm not even kidding. You know, okay, I didn't want to mention this because I've been accused of, like, being a scammer at the GE. You know those guys that are like, yo, I got a maple short bow. Here's some rune arrows and a maple short bow or an addy arrow, and we're gonna go duel. And they're like level 20, right?
Yep.
So the whole scam is that you go, oh shit, I know what to do. I'll just bring like iron arrows instead. But then what they do is they make it so you can't use your offhand, so you can't equip a bow because it's a two-hander thing.
Yep.
And then they just throw darts at you. What people did to anti-scam were to bring a max cape or a fletching cape, and you could like, because the fletching cape lets you get like a grappling hook and a crossbow. And you would just get bolts and like bronze bolts or whatever, iron bolts, and then the guy's level 22 and you have like 99 range. Well, you better if you have 99 fletching. Not really, but you know what I mean. Like you better be able to kill level 22. That's what people were doing to anti-scam. So
Smart, but
that is very scary. If you're messing with like a scam in any way, just don't fuck with it. Don't try and outsmart them. But I do know people that would do this to like trick people that are just trying out, you know, this type of a scam. You can
there's a lot of pretty complex scams out there. So if anything seems a little bit fishy, it's almost always a scam. Better to just not do it.
Yep. It was the same thing with magic, but tridents. So you can't do that for the tridents as well. They're just trying to take out scamming in the duel arena. But yeah. The monks of Zamorak will no longer chase players outside of the temple when stealing wines of Zamorak. Because of last week. The total level milestone messages are no longer duplicated when you level up multiple skills at a time. I noticed that was kind of weird. Let's say you're like 1199 total level and you finish a quest and get 3 levels in different skills. Like the message would come up 3 times in your chat box.
Right.
It's not only once. Zahir in Narda will now accept and create potions using vials of blood.
All right.
The inconspicuous crate in the Warriors Guild has been moved to the northern side of the bank to stop it from clipping into the wall, which is always weird, but nice. They fixed some black tiles that would appear in like some dungeons and like random things when you had to remove roof. It was kind of weird. Okay. So like Varrock sewers, Edgefield dungeon, Ham caves, blah 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 blah. They did some clipping issues, and Cristelia used to assign magic axes to players who couldn't even get to the hut.
Yep.
If you do have a task right now from Cristelia is the Wilderness Slayer person, and they don't take an account into what your combat level is. So she doesn't, I should say. And that would, they just didn't realize that doing that meant you could get like magic axes, and because it requires a thieving level and a lockpick to get into the room. Yep. So, the Master Clue Scroll will now protect over individual trail pieces found during a 3-part step.
All right.
And they fixed some spelling errors. I do want to say the log box for the hot air balloon looks really nice.
Yeah?
It's a box.
It's a good box to hold some logs.
Yep. Yeah, you can't go wrong with a good, nice looking box.
One thing I want to say, Zahir in Narda is one of the most useless NPCs from a diary reward.
Iron Man, baby.
Sort of. What he will do is he will combine your potions for you, or maybe he'll make unfinished potions for you, one of the two, but you can't have them noted.
I'm pretty sure you can now.
One of them you couldn't, because I tried it a week ago, and he only did unnoted, and I was like, what's the point? I may as well just make them myself then. You're not saving me much time.
Yeah. They might have changed, because I remember seeing an Alkin video a long time ago. And I know a lot of Iron Men will, like, because you pay money per potion, and they, like, turn them into unfinished for you.
But you need both ingredients.
Well, like, you need the herb and, like, the vial.
Oh, yeah, the unfinished, yeah. One of the options, I'm pretty sure it was making unfinished potions, he wouldn't take noted.
Or is it cleaning? Am I thinking of cleaning? I don't know.
Oh, maybe it was cleaning he wouldn't do noted. Yeah, that's it. She can clean unnoted dirty herbs for 200 coins per herb.
Yeah, and then she can make unfinished potions. So you take the noted clean herbs and the vials of water, and 200 coins per potion, and she'll make it for you.
May as well just do it do it yourself at that point. I don't know. Whatever. I guess it's fat. Whatever.
It's a huge EXP waste. It's very inefficient. Very inefficient to, like, as an Iron Man, when you're making, like, thousands and thousands, it's a big waste of time.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Pretty nice, I guess. And I guess we're going on to the more pleasant part of the week. The OSRS mobile beta for Android users has come out.
Oh shit, this is a big one.
I want to say it's open beta, but it's an open limited beta, first come, first serve.
Yeah, they've been doing it in increments because they're afraid if they just opened it for everyone, it would just crash the app.
Yeah, that, and if there's any major issues, then they don't want, like, everyone to get fucked at once, but...
Yeah, there's been, it's been huge, though. People have been super excited. Tons of people logging on. I know I've been talking to a bunch of people in the CC who are playing right off the mobile client, and people seem to be loving it.
Yeah, slaying while they're in bed, or skilling while they're in bed or at work.
Yeah,
maybe
exactly.
Both.
Now, I will say, though, I was talking to a few of them. I think it was just one person, to be honest, but they had downloaded an APK file off of Google to get the client.
Ooh.
I would not do that. I would just try, and if it's filled up, just wait. They're doing it pretty consistently. The thing is, he was able to log into the actual game, but you don't know if you've compromised all your data. And if you don't have a bank PIN, that could be seriously, like, dangerous for your account.
And if they ever update the app, I don't know what would happen with the APK, because I remember I downloaded some sketchy-ass thing for Pokemon Go before it was out in Canada, right? And they came out with an update, but it didn't affect me. I was playing on a different version, and then one day it just stopped working, like a month later. And I stopped playing Pokemon Go because everyone stopped playing after a month. But
yeah, so be very careful. They do have an article here about... And they do have an article here for information on the fake mobile betas.
You can just go to Google Play.
It says, make sure you only trust our official sites. If you click an advertisement, check the link, but don't even click an advertisement, I would say. Don't trust any fake Facebook pages or official pages. It's very easy to fake an official page on Facebook. Oh, sorry. So they say our official pages are RuneScape Facebook and Oldschool Facebook, but even still, go on their website and find it through there. Our official verified Twitch channels are RuneScape Twitch and Oldschool RS Twitch. Hate that Twitch name, by the way, Oldschool RS. Pain in the ass to find that, but anyways. And invites to take part in this RuneScape mobile technical test will be sent to your registered email alongside an invitation to your in-game message center to verify its legitimacy.
That being said, day 1, they had, 20,000 people in? And, day 2, they did, 250,000. Go check. You're probably in. I know most people got in. It just sucks if you're Australian or something because they do it while you're asleep. But you can always just make a Twitter account, follow Mod Sween, enable the phone notification, and then download it once the notification. He said he'd tweet out when the invites are live, or the open spaces are, I guess. Go download it, delete Twitter, pretend it doesn't exist, and live your life. But
unfortunately, though, if you are using a Chromebook, Asus Nexus 7, HTX Nexus 9, NVIDIA Shield, Google Pixel C, or Huawei P8 Lite, you will not be able to use the beta on those phones.
Yeah. You do need members. Keep that in mind. You must be a member to play. But yeah, I guess you've had I guess we'll talk about the iOS still in development. Don't worry. Blame Apple for, forcing devs to use Swift. So it's definitely not high up on their list of priorities.
They do also say currently you cannot make payments within the application or using your Google Play balance. This is still under development, so this leaves me to believe if you have Google Rewards, which is a app from Google that you you sell your information basically to them for pennies at a time, but every now and then you'll get an alert to answer a survey, which will be literally have you been to these restaurants? McDonald's, Harvey's, Starbucks, Swiss Chalet, whatever. Check mark the ones you've been to, or you click none, and then you click submit. Then it'll say, how was your overall experience? 1 to 5. Pick one of those, and then they'll say, thank you for answering. Here's 30 cents. And I'll get one. If I'm lucky, I'll get one once a day. And it's kind of like that. Sometimes you'll get one. It'll be like, does this YouTube video interest you? Would you watch it if you saw this pop up in your recommendations? And it's usually tailored to you. Like if you watch Fortnite one time, you'll always get Fortnite videos. And does this look interesting?
Get 1 kill equals remove one article of clothing. 50 kills.
Yeah. Anyways, so that leads me to believe that you will be able to purchase bonds with your Google Play money, because I have $4 in there, so you keep saving up.
Dude, sell your real life info for RuneScape GP.
Exactly.
Maybe you're from Venezuela and you don't want to grind for a bond. Maybe over time you can do your Google stuff, and dude, maybe they've been doing this in preparation. Maybe there's some Venezuelan gold farmers with $30. And they're like, oh, I'm ready.
Good game, RuneScape economy.
But yeah, so they have been improving the tooltip interaction. They refined the mobile control guide. There's weirdness with chats and, a lot of little weird interactions. Visually, and just how, the interactions feel, I guess. They fixed the world map UI issues, some of the issues. Multiple changes to comply with the, app Play Store stuff. So you can't have the word click or anything like that. It has to be tap or select. I guess it's to prevent people from porting just their PC games or something. They're addicting games, flash games they made when they're 8.
Yeah.
Onto phone. Yeah, the in-game broadcast will now appear below the chat box and shift upwards when the chat is closed. A little weird random things. FPS settings not being saved. Blah, 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 blah.
The fun stuff.
Yeah. I guess you have been using mobile for a while, but
hell yeah.
What do you normally do on mobile, and how do you feel about it?
Normally, I'll be doing it while I'm at work. So for the most part, I'm doing something pretty AFK. I did a bunch of my rune crafting grind there. I shouldn't say I did a bunch of my rune crafting grinds, but I did sink in a fair amount of hours over the course of a couple weeks doing rune crafting at work. I don't know. I find it's great if you have a task where you can jump on for 5, 10, 15 minutes. Maybe you can only play it on your coffee breaks. So you have 15 minutes, you jump on, do some cooking, maybe some wood cutting, doing something small, right? Because I tried a few things. I tried some Slayer, I tried some bossing. Depending on the boss, it can be kind of tough. I did Vorkath, it had its issues, like clicking on the spells to cast it on that little dude. Or another problem, though, is you're out in the world, getting that sunlight and fresh air. Ugh. But the problem is you're dealing with sometimes shoddy service, so you might get a little bit of a lag spike. So doing a boss that could kill you, which it always did at Vorkath.
Yeah.
Some Slayer tasks were good. I tried bursting some like Dust Devils and Necreals. That wasn't too bad. But again, having to switch to darts, then switch to your staff, and then putting on your spell, your ice burst. It's tedious, but that's only because you're limited with your phone. It works it does work. It's just a bit more tedious. Mm-hmm. But I find the easiest things were just like cooking. I did a lot of cooking and like blood altar rune crafting, because if I lagged, no problem. When the lag went away, I just had my whole inventory cooked in one tick, basically. Like I said, a lot of the problems are going to come down to just it's mobile. You're on a phone instead of the PC. But it works really well for what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah, I found farming runs, like doing herb runs, it's perfect. Because by the time your next break's on, your herbs are already done. Easily just bounce around, do those real quick. Found that was really good.
Yeah.
But anyways, you were new to all this, so I'm interested to hear how you feel about it.
I did Wintertodt, Volcanic Mine, and farming. Not my grinds completely on mobile, but I did a little bit just to see how it fares. So one thing I noticed is that Wintertodt, it's probably just the amount of players in an area, but I didn't really fuck with the GE or anything on like a populated world, but Wintertodt was super laggy. I was getting like 20, I guess not super laggy, I was getting like 20 frames and stuff. Keep in mind, I'm on like an S7 Edge.
I'm on a Galaxy S8.
Yeah, so maybe that could be part of it. I'm not too sure. Volcanic Mine, my issues is just, it's so, like, I think it might have been the minigame itself. Because when you're pouring your jug of water or whatever the fuck it's called onto the lava, you have to be facing the direction. And sometimes it's not like you point and click. You have to like run to like one part and then run to another part. So you end up running to where, you know, and it's super like finicky, I guess. And so it's kind of annoying trying to do that. Farming runs was pretty nice, but this is a me issue. So if I want to do a farming run, I type in search, type in farm, grab all my basic farming gear, and then hit enter, and then type search. If I'm doing a tree run, I type in tree, and I have all my teleports, everything related to farming tree runs, like fruit
These
trees
are under
and all that
tags
shit.
On your third-party client, RuneLite.
Yeah, I need RuneLite on my phone pretty much. But yeah, I am using RuneLite, and then I have the same thing with herb though, so I can like type in farm, grab my shit, type in herb, grab my shit, and I'm good to go. And it's not a mobile issue. It's like me relying too much on a third party client to like make my life easier. But as a whole, it is like, it's pretty good. I feel like if I were to like, hey, you know, I'm going to go do this, and this today. I'll bring my phone. I'll do some farming runs throughout, you know, the time. Maybe I would just grab all my herb, teleports and stuff and then just jump in, spend 4 minutes? It takes me like 4 minutes to do all my herbs. And then off to the next.
I feel like one of the big issues with mobile, if you're someone who has never organized your bank and you have it on like one tab, it's super hard to navigate through it because just scrolling when that scroll bar is so tiny. For me, I have I have almost all my tabs used for things. I have melee gear, I have consumables and key items, my magic tab, range tab, resource tab, tool tab, quest tab, Anyways, I have them all separated. So each tab, the scroll bar is easy to move. But if you're using just that one tab and your bank's full, it's super hard just to drag down.
Yeah.
I'm sure eventually they'll have it so you could swipe on your phone and you'll scroll through it.
Mm-hmm.
But currently that's not the case.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. I like instinctively didn't go to like the flick swipe, you know, like just the... I kind of went to the bar just on habit. Maybe because I kind of knew that's kind of how you had to go through it. But yeah, I keep my bank. Actually, like before mobile like was released, I reorganized my farming tab. I made it nice and small and crisp so I could easily like just tap through it. I can just tap through all my shit, my gear at least. But yeah, I guess if you're, you know, might need to organize that bank. Might be helpful.
I did notice a bunch of members in the CC. They had noticed that you don't need to push / when you've pressed on your clan tab on the chat. You can just type.
Yeah, that's really nice.
And I was talking to another clan chat member, and he said he has a mouse he can plug right into his phone and use that.
Damn, that's pretty busted.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting, because there's a bunch of... I don't know if it's going to come to the main game. I sure as hell hope they do, because that means they're kind of going back on what they said originally, that they don't want anything to be easier on mobile than it is on the PC, but we already have the clan chat thing on the mobile, but not the PC. We have that bank interface where you can click on it and then you can left click to withdraw all. I know that if they put that in the PC, you might have some people who's going to complain about it. Maybe some of the high level skillers. I don't think it's the best idea to have something that works well for the game, but you only put it on mobile, since mobile's a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Overall, though, I'm not like it's fucking amazing. Oh my god! But like, I'm happy with it so far. The only thing is like, there's gonna be a lot of ironing out like some random things. Like the Wintertodt UI is like covered up by just the placement of the mobile UI. Like it's kind of like not in a clean spot.
Yeah.
And I don't know if that's fixable. I'm not sure how, like, pest control is probably just as bad. Like, I think a lot of the mini games will have issues on mobile, but yeah, I'm not too sure.
You can kind of see why it's taken them so long, because there's just so much to work through and there's so much to test. Luckily, they have us playing it that can kind of give them some feedback on, hey, the UI for this minigame is not really working. So they can fix it, but there's just so much in this game that they have to adapt for old school RuneScape. I have no idea how RuneScape 3 is going to work on mobile.
I don't think RuneScape 3 is going to be around at this rate.
Yeah, fair enough. But that's what they're looking to do. And anything else you want to touch on for this mobile update?
That's pretty much it, yeah.
All right, perfect time to segue it then. Because, yeah, RuneScape 3 is also going to mobile. If you ever played that game, you know you can get overwhelmed by how many menu options and how much clutter you have on your UI, your user interface. There's a lot. And if you've watched any of the Twitch streamers who are, you know, when Solok came out, their new endgame boss, I was watching some streams and they had so many action boxes for attacks and things like that. Like I can't even imagine how that's going to be for the mobile, but
I feel like so many microtransaction deals will like pop up that your game will just kind of freeze up.
Oh, they'll make sure it won't freeze for that. Freeze once you've closed them. But yeah, that's the thing. A lot of their microtransactions, they're kind of on par for some of they call them freemium games on the phone, where they're free, but you're going to hit a wall, and if you actually like the game, you're going to need to spend money if you want to continue to progress. There's tons of games like that. It's unfortunate, but that's just a pay model that they found worked for a lot of mobile games, because people just are very against spending money when it comes to a mobile game. That being said, last week we were talking about microtransactions going on in RuneScape 3, about their Runepass and all that stuff. So the subreddit has been going through kind of a battle of their own against their JMods. But there's been kind of a slight update. It doesn't really mean much. You can always go back to it. I know some people might not care about it, but it's kind of interesting to keep an eye out when it comes to kind of sketchy things like this, when it's, you know, considering the microtransactions and we're so close to RuneScape 3, as in the games aren't too far. I mean, not like gameplay and how the game is, but the same company works both games. One of the J mods for RuneScape 3 kind of came out to talk about why they're doing this Runepass idea. This is what they say. Take it with a grain of salt. What have they said in the past and they've gone back on? Probably way more than what we know.
I think we've talked about it at least 2 or 3 times. Like, things that they've done, and then they do it again and again.
Yeah, and it's not like I'm going out of my way to find this stuff. It's just, it's so big and blows up that it either leaks into the Oldschool RuneScape subreddit, or I just kind of come across it on something else, right? You just kind of see it, and next thing you know, you're going down this rabbit hole. But they said that their dev team, they kind of have this quota. They have this goal they need to hit each month. They didn't go into too many specifics, but you can assume that they have X amount of money they need to rake in, whether it's in general, or maybe they have X amount of money to rake in through microtransactions on top of the membership. He had said they are limited on what they can kind of do to get that money in. So it turns out to be just microtransactions. Just add some more, try to get some more money to hit that quota that month. So what they're hoping for is, they know a lot of people hate Treasure Hunter right now, where you can get experienced lamps, you can get items, you can get 200 mil if you're lucky. You get a bunch of wonky things. And it's basically a slot machine. But what they're hoping for is for Runepass to come, and it being a new method of microtransactions instead of their Treasure Hunter. So yeah, they're hoping Runepass, which is something you pay, maybe you pay monthly, maybe it's a one-time fee, and this allows you to kind of gain extra cosmetics as well as some experience lamps as well as you progress throughout it. And if that turns out to work better than Treasure Hunter, then they might just scrap Treasure Hunter. That's what they say. For all we know, from all we can assume, they're going to keep both of them when it turns out not to be the case. Or maybe they both keep, maybe their data shows Treasure Hunter is bringing in lots of money, and now Runepass is bringing in extra money. It's not like the Treasure Hunter people went to Runepass. It's bringing in both money, so let's keep them both. But them saying that they have this goal they need to meet with limited resources to do it each month, it kind of, maybe sympathize a little bit, sympathize, that, I don't know, that would be a tough position to be in. I'm sure the devs are not happy about trashing their game. They can see their database going down, but at the same time, maybe their hands are tied. I listened to a This American Life podcast, which they spent a day or a week with a car dealership to see what they go through. The car dealership, basically, you don't make much money, but at the end of the month, you can get a bonus from the company of the cars you're selling if you hit a certain quota. They're pressured to sell these cars, and let's say they're like 2 cars behind on their quota that month. Sometimes it's worth it for them, for one of the people who is a salesperson, to buy the car themselves. And I remember in that podcast, the guy would talk saying a bunch of times he had to buy a car and then sell it and then give it to his wife as a gift. But it's so he could hit that quota so he could actually make some money that month. So it kind of reminds me of maybe a situation like this. It's hard to say because we're just sitting behind a screen reading what they post, right? I don't know. It just seems like a rough situation. Well, let's see how things play out. But, we see the numbers. It's not looking good. The devs on that team certainly don't want a bunch of people quitting RuneScape 3 to come over to Oldschool RuneScape. There's some really dedicated devs there, but hey, I don't know. So that's the little update, just kind of some fluff they posted. And yeah, they said a bunch of devs, a bunch of JMods at the offices are very outspoken about it, and they don't, they're totally against microtransactions because there's a ton of people working for RuneScape 3. I'm sure a fair bit of them are probably not happy with microtransactions in their game. You can understand being a developer who's creating the next big boss, and then you have all these people who are like, we just came out with this new microtransaction we're going to throw on top, and they're just like, come on, like you're killing this game that I've spent so much time creating this great content. I don't know. But we'll have to see how that plays out. Because the problem is, if RuneScape 3 does get mobile, that player base, like the mobile player base, eats that shit up. Which is why we see so many freemium games.
Let's keep it out of old school,
Yeah, exactly. So hopefully we never see anything like that. And I'm sure if we do, they will regret it, because the thing with old school RuneScape, a large majority of these players are people who once quit the game before because of something they didn't like. So I'm sure many people have no problem doing it again if something else happens, right?
Yeah.
Anyways, enough of that. Let's move on to some actually related to old school RuneScape. Just a small little post on the subreddit by Hazel Lehaz. Probably not saying that name right, but so he was a winner from King of the Skill, which was an event that happened like 8 months ago, where you could basically sign up for it. You join this new world. You're all Ironmen, and you have, it's like 24 hours or something. You had a certain amount of time to gain as much experience as you can. And then there's a bunch of categories. There's like 5 winners for each skill, and then a total level winner. And they won a bunch of things, whether it was free membership, but there's also winners who got winners or winner. It's been a while, I can't remember. But that won a Chill Blast computer. Again, going back to the Chill Blast. So the problem is this user on subreddit, Hazel Lehaz, never received his Chill Blast computer. Whereas many streamers and like popular people who play old school RuneScape received it pretty damn quick. Like Wooks, for example, received his reward pretty soon afterwards. So it seems like some of the non-popular players, they were kind of maybe left in the dark about it, or just Jagex was lagging in that aspect. So with this post, it gained some pretty good traction on the subreddit. Some J-mods appeared. Jagex Stone, Mod Stone, made a post saying, it's my fault. I will be sorting this Monday. Apologies for the delay. Any recipients will receive a text to confirm dispatch. So he's made a few posts basically saying he kind of bit off a bit more he could chew, with Theater of Blood and all that stuff. Bunch of updates coming out. I'm sure it just got bogged down or something.
Yeah.
So he said Monday he'll be setting them out. So it's a little controversy there. So it's understandable that people can kind of get behind on some stuff like this. I also know that with esports, getting your reward isn't as easy as you would think. You don't just cash out the same day you won. Sometimes it takes more time because maybe they got to transfer the money to a different currency or somehow get it to you. It's not just like cash sitting in a suitcase.
Meet them in Vegas.
Yeah. Gonna make another trip there. So there's some complications that happens. RuneScape's not the only one, but the difference is, I wonder, like, how big of a problem was this? If this post on the subreddit never got pushed to the front page, how long until they would have got around to this? Did they forget? I know I was reading that there's some people who were supposed to win a mouse pad, which is a competition from, God, I don't even know how long ago. I don't even remember what competition that was. Can't even find it. So there's about 12 sets of prizes he had to send out. Should be happening this week.
At least something's being done about these ones. I mean, I'm assuming the mouse pad probably got sent to the wrong address.
Yeah,
I'd have
maybe.
to assume that. I don't really know though. It's so weird. I've never really been involved in online winning of a sweepstake or a competition that gave me a PC. Usually it's something that does credits to a game or online. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Usually if it's a smaller company, they'll do something that's a lot more manageable. But yeah, I don't know.
Yeah, it's tough. He did own up and said it was his fault. Some people were blaming other J-mods, and then Jagex Stone, Mod Stone, came up and said, hey, this is me. I was the one behind this, but with mobile and then Theater of Blood.
Really, it's Mod Jed, just on his Twitter account.
He's got a couple aliases. And I do know when it comes to sending actual prizes, for instance, to this PC computer, this Chillbass computer, there's problems when it comes to crossing borders. I know with our blacksmith Bhooley, he a member of the clan chat and Discord, he constantly has done these prizes where he made items out of just metal.
Hold on, wait. A major company can't send out a computer, but someone in our community is able to create and ship merchandise. Well, it's not really merchandise, but what would you call it? I don't know.
Weapons.
Stuff, paraphernalia, RuneScape paraphernalia.
Yeah. He's able. Yeah, I guess so. He's able to create it and send it out faster than they can send a pre-made computer.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, with Bhooley, he had the problem where he sent out a battle axe and it got sent back from the border, I believe is the story. So he had to resend it again. I'm not sure if it ever got sent back, but maybe we'll find out in the future. But anyways.
Yeah, like UPS is like, this is fucking heavy. They like open it up. Oh, fuck. It's a weapon.
Why is this box shaped like a battle axe?
It's like literally wrapped perfectly. Like you know exactly what it is.
Yeah.
It's like trying to wrap a basketball.
Shit. But there's not much more from that. Just a little post on the subreddit. See anything exciting this week that you wanted to talk about?
Nothing really. It seemed kind of like a slower week. Just a lot of memes on mobile. That's pretty much it. There's nothing I saw particular that I wanted to talk about.
All right. Well, on that note, we will move it on to our lore segment. This week for lore, we are going back to our more quick-fire versions of it. We're going to be talking about some of the bosses in the game, and we're going to start with the giant mole. We're going to be leaving out the free-to-play bosses, as there's not really any lore to them, except that Obor and Bryophyta are both the Titan and the Titaness for their giant counterparts. The giant mole, which lives beneath Falador, was created by Malignius Mortifer, a follower of Zamorak that has powers similar to a necromancer, although he himself is not actually a necromancer. When experimenting with the bottle of Super Ultra Flora Growth Potion, he accidentally created the giant mole. And unfortunately, that is all we have on lore for this boss. As I said, since we're going to be continuing with bosses for the next couple weeks, some may be brief, while others probably not as brief. Alrighty, now it's time to close up the show. So before we get out of here, we got a small little update on wanting to teleport outside of your player-owned house. This is just one specific scenario, but I'm sure there's others that we don't know about. But Sandbar says, for the podcast, the reason people want to teleport outside of the portal of the player-owned house is for bone running. I guess you can have it so someone's just... Fuck, I don't remember the actual circumstance why you want to do that.
So I think it's if you're doing bones at like an altar, instead of having to run out of the POH, you can teleport out of it. You could save a couple seconds on each teleport.
Yeah.
I kind of want to test that out, because I do have 99 banked. Well, I can't really Chaos Altar. I don't know. But, yeah, I mean, I could easily see that being a possibility.
And last thing that we need to mention is... Last week we talked about, or we teased about, a giveaway that the previously mentioned a Blacksmith Bhooley is going to be having. He is going to be doing a 3-part giveaway of 3 different party hats. Real-life party hats. Gotta specify that, because it's only worth like 10k in the game nowadays.
Yeah. Unless it's Rs3, but...
Yeah, worth bills. So he's giving away a red, white, and green colored party hat, all mounted on a nice wooden finished plaque. So got some Christmassy colors going on there. And so far the plans are that these are subject to change. They do change. Check our Twitter, check the Discord for the informations on the change. As for now, the current plans are next Saturday is the giveaway at 10 a.m. Mountain Time. I think he lives on a mountain, which is 12 noon for Eastern Standard Time. So a bit of an earlier / midday event. And the plans are to be having a 3-part game, I guess you'd say. So there will be a drop party, a portal game, and a fashionscape contest. Drop party, just drop some items. Maybe there's a specific item that he's chosen that if you pick it up, boom, you win one of the party hats. The portal game, if you don't know, he'll have his house open. Everyone has to go to the second floor He's on the main floor. He picks a random portal or teleport from the player-owned house, and everyone has to guess. First one to find him wins it. In the Fashionscape contest, obviously, bust out the best Fashionscape that you have, and he will select what he likes the best. He does say you will get bonus points for wearing one special item. Not saying you will win, but you will get some bonus points. But that item is kind of a secret, so you're going to kind of have to take a chance with that one. But yeah, if that's something you're interested in winning, do try to make it out next Saturday. And if things tend to change, maybe he gets caught up in work, then he will let everyone know on the Discord and the events channel, and we will also post it on Twitter to let anyone out there know as well. And if you're out there thinking, well, what is your Twitter and probably clan chat? Well, our in-game clan chat is WildCC. Our Twitter is @TheWildernessRS. Our Facebook is facebook.com/TheWildernessPodcast. Our email is thewildernesspodcast@gmail.com. And our Discord is posted on both Facebook and Twitter. You should be able to see it as soon as you come to our page. Just click that link if you're looking to join it. That's it for the podcast, but Deagin, you got some things, right?
Twitch and Twitter, DeaginRS.
Ooh, always spitfiring those, eh?
Oh yeah, dude, I'm ready. I actually haven't been streaming the past week and a bit because I've had some super fucking weird PC issues that I cannot be bothered to go into detail and complain about. I feel like every 2-3 days I have to sit down and fix a bunch of shit. I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go into detail. It's gonna piss me off. I'm already stressing just thinking about it. But I'll try and figure it out and then start streaming again.
Perfect.
Those are my plugins or my plugs if you care.
Good stuff. All right, our song of the week as requested.
Oh yeah, I think that last week I totally botched that guy's name. I know I said his name wrong. I don't want to go back and try and figure out what it was, but I know after I said it, I'm like, that's not his name. It's close, but it's not. He's probably listening Deagin, you fucking asshole.
Thanks, man. Thanks.
Wow. You know what I mean?
Oh, wow.
That is nowhere near my name, actually. Whatever.
The song of the week this week is requested by Colorized. He says, I request the song Harmony on the next podcast. It is such a nostalgic song. It is probably the very first song you will encounter in the game, aside from Tutorial Island. It is the song unlocked at the Lumbridge Castle. And there's a bit of an analysis written on the wiki. So I'll just quickly read this out because it looks like a treat to read. The piece is written in the key of A minor. It starts off with a slow, somber, harp-scored, probably butchered that word, and kalimba intro. It has a reoccurring melody, more instruments add to the line, counter melody, and harmony as it goes on, but the dynamics remain soft. After 2 playthroughs of the melodic line, it goes off to the tangents of outlining the chords of its harmony as the melodic phrasing from a breath flute. The piece returns to the original melodic line, this time with phrases being accompanied by an increase in melodic embellishment. The arpeggiated melody is repeated again before a short trumpet solo. The piece begins its original melodic lines with heavy brass and less of all other sections. The flutes have a short soli, or solo, I don't know, before the piece is mostly silent except for chimes, cello, and timpani. This section is relatively empty and the key has switched to the secondary dominant, E minor. The cello and the chimes play steady, sustained E. The timpani has a slightly more melodic interest with its parts. It is reminiscent of the trumpet soli, or solo. After the empty section, the key switches back to its original tonic as a breathy flute plays the melody. The trumpets have one final soli before the track ends. That guy must have been super stoned when he wrote that.
Yeah, or he just got his first musical theory class from university.
Is soli an actual word?
I don't know. My analysis, it's pretty good.
Yeah, it's good.
Pretty good. The song's not bad. It's good. It's not the best. It's pretty good.
So apparently soli, S-O-L-I, is pronounced so-lo. What? A musical composition or a passage or section in a musical composition written for performance by by one singer or instrumentalist with or without accompaniment.
Oh, you know what?
She
Read the
sang
first
solo.
letter of every sentence or every line. I'm totally fucking with you.
Oh my god, it was like TIR.
Sea shanty too.
Fucking got me. All right, guys. Thanks so much for listening to episode 92 of the podcast. Till next week, we're at 93, past the halfway mark, because we're probably going to quit at 99 because I really don't think... I feel like there's a solid 7 more weeks of updates before they just bottom out.
Yeah.
So, like Seinfeld did, we have to get out while we're on top. Maybe, but probably not. All right, guys.
Yeah.
Till next week.
Have a good one.